Friday episode of What the Truck. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Malcolm Harris, for a Friday edition of What the Truck. Today is November 7th. In the next 45 minutes or so, you're going to be hanging out with me. And you could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me, and I really appreciate it. Today, we have a packed show. It's going to be an awesome show as we are wrapping up the first week of November. So looking on deck today, it's going to be a trio. Normally, I like to keep it pretty simple, but let's do it big right now. We're going to go with John Kingston is going to lead off the show. John is, of course, our editor-at-large here at FreightWaves. He's going to be talking about all things when it comes to RXO and what's currently happened in the space. And then I have not one, but I have two Danielle's joining the show, believe it or not. The first one, Danielle Villegas, is going to be joining the show. She is representing our presenting sponsor, PCS. She is their Chief Product Officer. If you guys remember, at F3, Danielle joined me on the show, and it was, I'm just going to be honest, one of my favorite segments that I had. Her team, the energy, and total domination from Danielle and PCS, and I'm excited to talk to her about what happened at F3, as well as what's to come for PCS. And then also, the fraud girl is in the building. Danielle Spinelli is in the building. She agreed to do the show yesterday, and I was so excited that she is going to be on here to talk about cargo theft, to talk about what's happening in the space, and just to bring the energy that she has, as she has her own show as well. She is the host of the Tell Me Everything podcast. Y'all, between John, Danielle, and Danielle, this is going to be an awesome show, and it could not happen without our team at PCS. Today's show, again, is brought to you all by PCS. In this freight market, margins are everything. PCS TMS with Cortex AI helps carriers capture the right loads, cut wasted miles, and find profit points on every run, because profit, not volume, is what the new payload is. See how at PCSSoft.com. Now coming to us live to talk all things RXO is going to be the one and only, the man with the plan, as well as our editor-at-large and market expert, John Kingston. John, can you hear me, sir? How are you?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I got you right now. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Hey.
All right, good.
What's going on, man? How are you?
Well, it's been earnings week for 2 or 3 weeks, so that keeps us pretty busy here at FreightWaves. So
definitely
a winding down, and a wide variety of, I would say, a wide variety of messages. The main message is that the market is still very weak, and there's really no signs of a turnaround. I shouldn't say there's some signs of a turnaround, mostly because of the loss of capacity driven by drivers being taken off the road or exiting the road because of the English language crackdown and the non-domiciled CDL crackdown. You hear that a lot. But, I mean, look, we're getting to the point where we're already almost not really halfway, certainly a third of the way through the fourth quarter. Nobody's expecting a real significant turnaround in the fourth quarter, but they're hopeful for 2026.
Let's talk RXO briefly because, I mean, your article and then there was a follow-up that I want to get into as well. But, there was a huge, I would just say, plummet, right? I mean, you saw it really Wednesday into Thursday. I mean, what do you believe triggered such an immediate steep market response with this?
I think the fact that things just did not get any better. RXO has a problem in that it has a peer in C.H. Robinson. It is an apples-to-apples comparison. There were no, for example, really truckload carriers that did significantly better or significantly worse than everybody else. They all kind of did lousy. But in the case of RXO, they've got this comparison to C.H. Robinson, which has been a Wall Street darling now for well over a year and a half, and they've got the receipts to back it up. RXO does not. So C.H. Robinson's stock, I'm not going to quote numbers because I don't have them off the top of my head, but C.H. Robinson's stock is way up in the last 12 months, and RXO's is way down in the last 12 months, even before the sell-off that you referred to. So the earnings came out for RXO. They were blah. They weren't particularly terrible, but they were definitely under some consensus numbers. of what the Wall Street analysts thought they would do. And, it got a probably, I'm sure, algorithm-driven sell-off really, really hard. And, I mean, the stock was down more than 10% yesterday. It was down about 12 or 13 right out of the bat in the pre-market trading on Thursday morning. And the earnings call the earnings call was interesting because there was not a lot of reference I guess there was some reference in the earnings report to this, but then when Drew Wilkerson, the CEO, took to the airwaves in the earnings call, he talked about the fact that the market in terms of measured as by NTIL was definitely getting better. The problem is that they booked in contract rates to deliver capacity at numbers less than that. Meanwhile, they're having to go out and secure capacity in a market where spot rates are rising, not a lot. That's what I refer to the NTIL and Sonar. It's showing that they are up. So that's really a deadly combination but they're not making it up in volume. Volume has been weak with C.H. Robinson. Their rates have been higher. They've got contract numbers that were locked in at lower numbers. And that's just been, a bad mix for RXO. So you saw that somewhat in the earnings. You definitely saw that in Drew Wilkerson's discussion of market conditions in the fourth quarter. And the analysts really took RXO out to the woodshed.
Definitely. Now, for shippers, carriers, and brokers listening today on the show, what are the key takeaways from RXO's performance and other earning performances that you've seen that, there should be just, I guess, a sentiment to that they should be acting on, whether it's, contract strategy, carrier relations, or just market positioning? Where do you see this aligning and what should folks be doing right now?
Well, I think for shippers, they probably know this, but spot rates are increasing. That's what's squeezing RXO. So, I mean, the word squeeze must have been used a dozen times yesterday in the earnings call. So the shippers know this. The carriers are maybe seeing some strength, certainly in spot rates. They know the reason why. It's not because they suddenly got some big increase in volume. That's not the case. It's happening because capacity is exiting the market really, really quickly. And so I think they probably know this. I like the RXO call. The ones I've done, I like the RXO call because it really drove home that point with great clarity.
Now, looking forward, if RXO doesn't address some structural things, realistically, what scenarios do you think can play out within the next 12 to 18 months?
Well, I would say this, that, C.H. Robinson has talked about AI driving its business on message for a year and a half to 2 years. Dave Bozeman is now, I guess, 2.5 years at the end of this year into his tenure as CEO. By any measure, he's been a smash success. The RXO, when they talked about technology and cutting costs, it almost sounded like, we've got some too, everybody. It's not just all happening in C.H. Robinson. We've got some cost cuts as well. So I think that they're going to have to really send a message that AI is performing strongly. But, the most pointed question when the phones were open to analysts came from an analyst who said, look, you bought Coyote last year. You talked about all these great synergies. Where are they? And their response was, it was kind of a strange response from Drew Wilkerson. He kind of said, hey, it's going great. We've done a lot of synergies. We've done a lot of consolidation and merger. We're just not seeing any financial benefits from it. And their argument is that that's because of the market, which we have no control over. I would say that current RXO management is going to have to show some results because, as I said, they have a very much of an apples-to-apples peer in C.H. Robinson that is producing very well. And if RXO doesn't start producing on a much stronger level, investors have already pummeled this stock. What do you say? What's your investment case? Why should an investor interested in 3PL logistics put $1 into RXO when they have C.H. Robinson down the street? Yeah. And Landstar is kind of in the middle. Landstar is not an apples-to-apples comparison. We know that. It's a different model, but it is still generally considered a 3PL, and they're doing better than RXO as well. So I think RXO management is going to have some explaining to do if we're sitting here a year from now and things haven't gotten that much better.
So
let's remember the whole Dave Bozeman era at C.H. Robinson started when they axed his predecessor. And, so it can happen. A board is not going to sit still for this.
Definitely. And I was going to mention, if you were to give one piece of advice with your research that you've done and the things that you know in the space, to folks at RXO to be able to regain investor confidence, What is that? Because yes, I mean, it was a big swing when acquiring Coyote, and I think everybody in the industry and space knew how monumental this was. But what do you think that one piece of advice would be, John?
Well, I think that you've got to find a way for AI to drive your business higher, as it has done at C.H. Robinson, and they will tell you that they have done a lot. It's just not showing up in the numbers, but it's showing up. It's showing up out of Minneapolis, which is the, the headquarters of C.H. Robinson.
Oh man, that's definitely insightful. Anything else that I'm missing here, John, when it comes to RXO? I'm sure that there's going to be more updates, but anything else that you'd like to provide for our listeners in terms of this?
Well, one thing that I like to do, I love to tweet out data, and I like to tweet data during earnings season that's recurring, that I can see it every quarter. So C.H. Robinson does give a headcount number for both the company as a whole and for its North America Surface Transport segment, which is where the brokerage, traditional truck brokerage operations are located. RXO does not. Now they have now, and so I tweet out the C.H. Robinson headcount every quarter. And every quarter. RXO said yesterday, they gave some numbers on how much their headcount is down. The headcount numbers at C.H. Robinson are way down. Look, I hate to see people lose their jobs. Okay, I really do. But the fact is, C.H. Robinson has, increased their revenue. They've increased their market share, and they've done it with a lot fewer people. That's
Right.
not the case at RXO. Their revenue isn't rising. Yes, they have a lot fewer people. You can't know as specific as you do with C.H. Robinson, but there's definitely been more for less coming out of C.H. Robinson, and RXO used that term yesterday, more for less. They're really going to have to show that they're able to do that, and right now they have not been able to do that.
Always insightful and informative. Our editor at large here at FreightWaves, John Kingston. John, thanks so much for being on the show, man. Really appreciate it. Always good seeing you too.
You too, Malcolm.
Yes, sir. Again, John Kingston, editor at large here at FreightWaves. That RXO piece that he wrote, guys, if you have not checked it out, please go to freightwaves.com to check out that piece in full. There were some updates that were provided from it as well. And again, I think that was an awesome job and an awesome discussion. So thanks again to John. Now, shifting to the Danielle portion of the show, because I have, again, not just one, but I have two total Danielles. The first one is joining me from our presenting sponsor, PCS. She is truly the best. Literally, she's the best in show. Danielle Villegas. Danielle, what's going on? How are you?
Great. How are you, Malcolm?
I'm great. I'm great. How's everything going post F3? It's so good to see you.
We're busy, so it's been great. F3 was good to us. So we're again on our way for global domination as we talked about at F3. So everything at PCS is great.
That's awesome. My production team, they pulled a clip from F3 that I want to show because, guys, if you have not seen this, it was just awesome. So, guys, roll this clip with Danielle and myself.
We just got best in show.
Let's go! Yes, sir! I would rip this, but it would take my microphone off. So we might get flagged on YouTube, so I don't want to do that. Well,
Oh my
I was
God.
going to ask you what the
Yes.
best part of your experience at F3 was, but I think your team...
This is right it. This
40
is
deep
it.
and
This
answered
is it. Yes.
Awesome. Best in show, and I can't say enough about the energy that you brought that day. You and the rescue team, you guys did an outstanding job, and global domination is on the horizon because you spoke it there, and I feel it now. So just thank you guys for all you've done and continue to do for myself and everybody here at FreightWaves.
Yeah, well, a huge shout out to your team too. It was very confusing, like trying to figure out, do we show up for Best in Show? Do we stay and do the podcast? So shout out to your team as well. They were very accommodating because my team is like texting me like crazy, like, you need to show up. We may win. We may win. We may win. So it was huge and very accommodating for your team to allow us to kind of switch up your guest on the show. But yeah, it was actually the best way for us to find out that we won Best in Show, being there with you.
That's phenomenal. Well, awesome. Now, talk to me a little bit. And, we've kind of had this conversation, but I really, for those that may not have been at F3 and felt that moment, I want to educate them about, when a company rolls out AI, right? What does that first wave of change look like for people actually doing the work like your team?
Yeah, so at least when we look at it, really it should be taking away the busy work. That's what AI should feel like when you first come in. Like the feeling should be, oh my gosh, someone just took something super heavy off of my plate. It shouldn't really be disruption. It should really be, how can I improve my current workflows? And what am I doing every day? What are those, very manual tasks that are doing? What can I automate? And so really when we started looking at AI for our customers is, what were those manual tasks that dispatchers and operators are doing every day? And how can we automate that in a way that allows them to work on more valuable pieces of information? So, really, at the end of the day, if AI is feeling very, very disruptive to you, you're probably not looking at the right solution. It really should feel like, oh man, I've got so much more time to do things that I didn't have time to do before because AI has come in and really flipped the script for me. And so instead of searching for information, I have information at my fingertips.
Definitely. Now it feels like a co-pilot almost, right? It's like a value add. And, I want to talk about that specifically because, we're not talking about AI replacing jobs, right? We're talking about jobs changing. What does that look like though inside of a freight operation? What does that exactly look like?
No, absolutely. In freight, the job doesn't go away. The
Right.
nature of the job goes away. So again, we talked about what dispatchers are doing. They're searching for loads, they're calling around for backhauls. So if AI can automate those pieces for them, then that allows them to do what they're actually great at, building relationships and having communications. And so I would actually challenge that AI doesn't replace jobs. It actually makes a more skilled, more human experience for shippers out there if carriers are able to automate a lot of what we're trying to do within our system, because now they spend the time doing what they do best, building relationships, providing proactive customer service, because the AI is automating all of those manual tasks for them. Like I said, finding the backhaul, scanning PDF documents to build loads. Let us do that. Let the AI do that while you actually do that personal communication touch. So I would actually challenge AI makes you more personable versus less.
I love that. I definitely love that. Now, once a company starts using AI, how do leaders in the space make sure it sticks and that it becomes a part of how they work and not just this, another shiny tool, another program and application? How does that look?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the 3 points on that is one, AI really needs to be built into the workflow natively. It shouldn't be an add on, it shouldn't be an additional screen or a different dashboard. It really needs to be built into the everyday task that they're following. And again, it shouldn't feel like it's a burden. It should really also be trusted. Like it should show you why it's making the recommendation so you can trust the judgments that are being made and the decisions that the AI tool is making. And then finally, from a leadership perspective, they need to ensure the human is still in the decision making seat. That's the most important thing. I think keeping the human in the loop is absolutely critical to ensuring that AI tooling that you're adopting into your organization actually sticks and that your team actually uses it.
Danielle, there's a lot of people in the space right now that have so much AI fatigue, right? When it comes to just what they hear when it's demo after demo or whether it's, pitch after pitch. What is your advice for those that obviously want to get ahead of the curve, right? And want to be able to innovate, but are just kind of in this lull of, hey, like we've been doing it this way for so long. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
I would really say, like, look at where you could find hard ROI across your different AI tooling. So that's really kind of what we started building with our AI tooling inside of PCS and Cortex is how can we actually show you measurable results with the AI tooling that we've given? And so we've kind of done some other messaging around how do you know you have the right AI tools? And I would say, again, it's hard ROI. Can you see value? Can you see benefit? We talked a little bit about having a customer who just was hauling empty trucks because they did not have the time in the day to find the right backhauls. So if we can show them that you are now hauling less empty miles, that is a good hard ROI that customers can look at and say, this AI tooling is actually working for my organization.
Definitely. Now, in terms of next steps, in terms of PCS, obviously the innovative things that you guys are doing with Cortex, what's on the horizon for PCS, and what is your team doing to channel that global domination that you and me both know is on the horizon?
So we're actually working on our next set of Cortex modules coming out. So you can see some maintenance improvements coming out here very soon from PCS and our new Cortex platform. And we're already talking about what our next F3 rapid fire demo is going to look like. So we're very excited, but we're onboarding customers into the Cortex platform right now. And then we're going to start looking at maintenance as the next big area that we're going to focus on.
Awesome, awesome. And for more information, Danielle, where can our listeners and viewers go for that on behalf of PCS?
Absolutely. Go to PCSsoft.com. We actually have a Cortex Corner webinar going on. So if you'd like to learn more about Cortex, you can come and sit with me and join a webinar, and we'll learn all things about Cortex, our opportunity manager, our natural language dispatch manager, and backhaul booster.
Chief Product Officer at PCS, Danielle Villegas. Danielle, thank you so much. It's so good to see you, by the way.
You too, sir. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Of course, again, Danielle Villegas with PCS. She is awesome. And PCS is a great group, guys. For those that don't know, they're definitely doing a lot of innovative things within the space. So make sure you all take her advice, visit them again. And I'll give that website out one more time just so you have it, PCSsoft.com. Again, PCSsoft.com. In this freight market, margins are everything. PCS TMS and Cortex AI help carriers capture the right loads, cut wasted miles, and find profit points on every run, because profit, not volume, is the new payload. See how, again, at PCSsoft.com. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, PCS. And now, from one Danielle to another, I am so excited to welcome the host of the Tell Me Everything podcast, the Freight Fraud Girl, the one and only Danielle Spinelli. Danielle, how are you?
I am good. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks so much for being on. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you calling me out of, is it Gainesville? Are you in Gainesville, Georgia?
Gainesville, Georgia, chicken capital of the world.
You guys, I'm from Conyers, Georgia, so it's a little ways away, but it's close. I remember when I was like younger in high school, I saw, and I'm aging myself so everybody knows, I saw Deshaun Watson. And he was at Gaines. Yeah. And it was crazy. And also one of my favorite wrestlers, AJ Styles, went to Gainesville.
Yep.
So you guys have a great
across the street from my mom's house.
Are you serious?
Wild. Yeah.
That's my guy. Like AJ was, he's one of the best wrestlers of all time. So I saw that. I was like, wow, Gainesville's got some legends out of it.
Yeah, two of them. But yes, we have two legends. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking three now because you got your podcast and you're doing a lot of things in the space right now. Thank you seriously for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so excited to be on here, honestly. So I've been looking to come on for a while, and I'm like, let's go as soon as you message me.
That's awesome. Now, let's just break it down right now. The Fraud Girl. Where did this come from? What is this? Walk me through this.
Yeah, it's funny because like I now like totally own it, right? Like people call me the fraud girl, and what happened was I kept going on different stages and speaking and about different cargo theft methods and fraud techniques, and kind of just was like, hey, did you see Danielle that knows all the fraud? She's a fraud girl. And then it was funny because I was on another podcast with Nate Johnson from GLCS, and I was like, yeah, people keep calling me the fraud girl. It's so weird. And he's like, oh, it'd be cool if somebody like brought you, you made a shirt out of this or a logo. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess. And then next time I see him, he comes up with like this shirt with the whole fraud girl image on it, the little FG, my little logo on there. And it was really cool to have somebody do that for me. And so I just kind of took that and ran with it. And so having my Tell Me Everything podcast, it's really fun because my passion project is the fraud girl stuff, and being able to educate and, help as many as I can to know how to avoid, risk in this crazy market that we're in right now.
It's absolutely crazy, Danielle. Let's talk a little bit about earlier in your career, right? Your experiences as a broker, as a salesperson in operations as well. Like what kind of led you into this fight, right, against freight fraud and all that's come with it?
Yeah, so I was a carrier sales rep for 8 years here in Gainesville at a little small brokerage, and we did copper and electrical wire mainly. So I mainly dealt with higher value freight, and so that comes with greater responsibility, especially coming from a smaller mid-sized brokerage. One loss takes a big hit on that brokerage. So I've really had to adapt vetting techniques and really had like a long checklist of all these different things that I had to do. And so eventually we switched over to having my care portal, which is where I work now. And, at the time, whenever we switched over, it just was such a game changer for me. And how I ended up over here on the tech side of it is I actually reached out to one of the other sales guys, original sales guys at my care portal, and was like, you guys changed my life. Like, this is, I had this huge long list and I'd wake up in the middle of the night, like, oh my God, did I forget to check this one thing here or there? Is this the guy that's going to steal my load? And so my care portal was able to automate that for me, give me that extra protection, and then still keep my vetting process, a lot quicker, but I was still able to do all the things. And I went from maybe having like one theft a year, maybe two to zero. So it made such a difference. So I got on board on the tech side of things. And so now just being able to take kind of all that knowledge and that from my personal experience and then from customers and hearing their, battle stories, and putting that back into the product and what can we do to make things better.
That's phenomenal. Now, you said before freight is no longer isolated, it's organized. And how have you seen these networks evolve in the past year? And what trends are you seeing right now as we head into 2026 that you can put us on game with?
Yeah, I've seen it for a while with the different organizations, and you can kind of tell there's like clusters. And now that there's been actual arrests being made, the Armenian game that happened, the 12 sings that they grabbed, and then I know there's like some cartel talk as well involved. So there's different organized crime that's really have seen, hey, this is a honey hole of money that we can get, and very low, low risk if they do get arrested or something. Typically, they're back out pretty quickly. So they're noticing it's high reward, low risk, and really taking advantage of that. So it's went from maybe a couple bad actors here and there that knew the industry really well to now, other people kind of got wind of it, and it's became this huge thing that's happened now. So
You recently joined the Highway Patrol on a ride along. Do I have this right? Is this right?
oh my god, it was so, so amazing. Like, I cannot even describe how great it was. Yeah, totally. I was in California and, I'm good friends with those guys, and I was like, "Hey, can I watch you guys all day? Can I just sit there?" And they're like, "Sure." And so came on and watched just the whole day long, in the beginning, like, their investigative piece, kinda what all they dig in for, and then we hopped on, in the, it was undercover car, but in their car going down and went on the rail lines and saw a lot of theft there and actually found some stolen freight. So pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Now, what stood out the most when it just came to that? Because like I would be terrified. Like I would not know what to do. I mean, because you just said to your point, like you actually saw some action, but like what stood out the most just in that time and that day with them out in California?
Honestly, the volume. I mean,
Yeah.
I talk on this all day long. I'm here now like stressing how important this is, but just to see it in real life, like whenever we were walking the rail lines, every step I took was another broken seal on the ground. I mean, every step. I'm like, I didn't realize it was this big of an issue, especially on rail. Like I don't think that's talked about enough. And I think even just the amount of phone calls that he got during the day, like I said, the pure volume of it in their face was alarming.
So, and that brings me perfectly to my next point. What should shippers, based off of what you saw there, which should there be their like I guess biggest takeaway from your experience out there in California?
Oh my goodness, could I educate some shippers?
Come on,
um,
come on.
I I know, right? The biggest thing I think is training your dock workers on pretty obvious signs of like a truck, for instance. So like the on the back part of the trailer, the doors not being like a regular trailer, or you're seeing like where like a seal would be, you're seeing obvious marks where like it's been cut open. That type of thing, even just like on the side of the truck, having those cardboard signs that we all see all over, the internet that they're posting. Just let's do some additional verification on that front. And then the biggest thing that like CHP or any law enforcement agency needs is that facial recognition or any type of tapes that they can take at the shipper showing who loaded the truck, what does the truck look like? Because a lot of times they're swapping VIN or swapping license plates. So yes, license plates are great and all that and jotting all that stuff down, but getting actual vehicles or picture or videos of the vehicles make a big difference for them, especially if you can get the driver's face. Because even if it's a fake ID, they can
Yeah.
still use facial recognition.
Now, I'm very intrigued about this, and I know you've watched the show, and I honestly probably bi-weekly we talk about cargo theft because it's like
Yeah,
an industry within an industry. Like this is crazy. We've talked
crazy.
about Guy Fieri, and he had what a bunch of tequila bottles stolen. Shaquille O'Neal, he just had his Range Rover and just
Yeah.
literally vanish. So there's all these things. Some Nikes were hit the other day. Like, what has changed so much within, I would just say, this space from like pre-COVID? Because like I don't remember this, when I was first in brokerage in the late, 2010s. But now it's like it's so bad. It feels like every other load feels stolen or has to have like a real type of, attention to not have it stolen or have something mess with it from, these types of attempts and threats.
Yeah, so I was a broker prior to 2022, and same thing. Like we would mainly make sure that they had authority and insurance, right? That was like pretty much
Yeah.
all we checked, and they had not conditional or unsatisfactory safety rating. That was it. Other than if you handled high value freight, like I said, I did a little bit more than that. But then come 2020, I think we all got home and we forgot about the phone calls because I know me myself as a rep, it was where I was posting to my email quickly, really quickly turning freight, back and forth. And I think we just forgot that human element of making that manual phone call. And because people were seeing that they can do a lot more of the theft um, virtually, like strategic theft instead of straight theft, and I can describe what those all mean too. But
Yeah.
they're able to do things outside of even being in the United States. Like they're not even here and they're able to make all this money. So before it was just the straight theft where, you know, like I said, I was doing high value freight and I would warn those drivers like, hey, be careful out there. If you stop at a truck stop, don't go too far away, that type of thing. And then now it's more strategic theft, a lot more fraud involved. And so those are a lot more harder to combat. And we as an industry were not ready.
No, not at all. And I think there's been a lot of fallout. And with this next question, I want you to put on your investigative hat with me and let's go somewhere, right? Because when it comes to what's keeping investigators up at night, what's the biggest thing? I mean, you've talked about unique identifiers, you talked about switching, license plates, VIN numbers, but like what's the biggest thing that you're just like, hey, like this is an issue, and I know everybody knows it, but, like, investigators, this is what they are just absolutely dialed in on right now.
So, being on that ride along, what I've learned from them, and I like I said, to kind of know the gravity of the volume, seeing it in person, but they're seeing a lot of the connections where it's not just one person, here and there that is making these thefts. It is where it's the same type of people over and over again, and so they're able to tag, this theft with this one, so that way they can create this bigger case to the DA. And on top of that, they're seeing that these same people that are doing these cargo thefts are committing many other crimes. And so a lot of times cargo theft is considered a non-violent crime, if I can speak. And so, as far as getting time served, it's a lot less, but really they are doing a lot of violent activities because it's not just, they're not just a bad guy in one area. It's typically
Yeah.
a bunch of other areas that they're seeing. So that is definitely scary of what else are they doing?
Danielle, I'm not understanding something, and it's the ripple effects that, say, for example, a shipment stolen in California. I mean, there's a price impact that happens. I mean, you've even spoken to it like upwards of like 20%, sometimes 30. I mean, how does that happen whenever, it's at the, final destination or the checkout line, essentially? Because I don't get it. It's not registering to me.
Well, the cost of freight is going up because of the cargo theft. I mean, these guys are taking things and putting them back on, like a black market and selling things for a lot less. So, in order for shippers to combat kind of even that type of situation, they're having to adjust prices in that way. Each load that gets stolen. I was just actually at the cargo theft conference with travelers and CargoNet, and they were saying that each load that gets stolen, it's not just as let's say as a broker, you're writing the check for the amount of the wholesale value of the trailer. No, on top of that, that's your product not being on the shelves, that's brand reputation. Then you have to go back to the manufacturing and having new product instead of building more. I mean, it's a ripple effect on the shipper and how much they make revenue wise. And so they're not just eating those costs, that's coming back onto the consumer and they're tacking that on there.
Let's talk a little bit about red flags because, as we head into 2026, I mean, I'm just going to flat out and say it. This is a boomer bust year for a lot of brokerages that you and me both know very well, and a lot of just
Mhm.
different organizations. So, with that, brokers, what should they be on the lookout for in 2026 when it comes to, I mean, fake carrier profiles, transloading, suspicious activity there, changes in, MC or DOT numbers? What's like the biggest thing and kind of patterns that people should be on the lookout for, Danielle?
Really, you wanna see a footprint on a carrier. So, these bad actors, they kinda see that most tech companies have, like, that 60-day window where if there's FMCSA changes, it's 60 days that, we as tech companies kinda throw up the red flag.
Yeah.
A lot of us tech companies are changing that so that you can expand that date range out because they know those things, and so they're sitting on these MCs, DOTs that they just bought that look super clean. They're sitting on them for a decent amount of time, sometimes 6 months or a year, and then one day waking up and going to town on it because they look great and they're usually set up with other people. And so really what you need to look for is like a footprint of a carrier. Have they been running lanes recently? Are there, not even just inspections because DOT is not doing inspections, but like here at My Care Portal, we use macro points information. So have they tracked anywhere within the last 6 months with any macro point customer? Having nothing on there is a big red flag, especially if they have, more than one truck type thing. They should have a digital presence.
Talking about that point with macro point, Descartes macro point, it's a big part obviously of the conversation. A lot of people use it, but how specifically is this empowering shippers and brokers to identify and prevent fraud before it happens, if not after? Can you kind of go into that for our listeners and paint that picture for us?
Yeah. So Descartes' biggest, I guess, initiative and why they purchased My Care Portal was to have a kind of 360 view on a load for fraud prevention. The My Care Portal piece is a lot of the pre-vetting. So the macro point data, as far as how they've been running, is flowing back into My Care Portal. There's been a lot of new things that we've developed on that front. And then once you do decide, okay, yes, this guy looks good, I'm going to give him the freight. Then at that point, watching him take that freight and go on from there. And so having the ELD integration, I honestly like having more than one tracking session. So if it's like especially high value freight, like tracking the driver's phone number plus tracking the ELD. And then if it is very high value, you should be having pallet trackers in there too. And you can have that be tracked alongside. So kind of watching those different sessions go into place and making sure that, yes, they're all in the same spot. There's no weird activity happening. And if there is, making sure that you have your settings so backer points throwing up red flags in your face and you're not missing anything.
You've said collaboration, is king in this industry. And, I feel like in logistics, we're like cousins of cousins of cousins. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's working on the same things and trying to get to the same place. But, when it comes to examples specifically in tech and collaboration, what are some things that you're seeing across the industry in terms of cooperation and collaboration that have actually made a difference when it comes to cargo and stopping theft there?
Well, I think just in the space in general, we've done a much better job as far as integrations on the tech side. So everyone's kind of talking to each other and sharing data. So not only just with the card having to purchase My Care Portal can two tech companies speak to each other. My Care Portal, MacroPoint. Now we can integrate with other even betting platforms and bringing that data in so that we're all kind of one community and getting all that information together. Because at the end of the day, we really just want to stop the bad guys from coming in and stealing freight. Now, will it go away completely? I doubt it. I think we'll always have straight theft. Hopefully, we can make the strategic theft go down by us kind of all collaborating together. Because, like you said, logistics is a lot of money, a big industry, but it really is a family knit. Everybody knows everybody in this space.
Yeah.
So, it's not really this versus this. It's kind of time to kind of come together and be that, logistics family.
Definitely. Let's take a step out of the industry for a second and just talk about people in general because, what can the average American do to make a real difference when it comes to something as just prevalent as cargo theft and what's currently happening in the space and really just in general?
I'm so glad you're bringing this up. So there's a bill sitting out there that is HR 2853. Corca is what they call it. It's the Combating Organized Retail Crime Act. And that in itself, I know like TIA had it where they were, going to lobbying the bill and stuff like that. But us just as regular Americans, we can write our politicians and say, hey, this really matters to me. This is how it's affecting me personally. This is how it's affecting my business, which is affecting your whole area because I'm not bringing, this amount of money into this area.
Right.
So things like that. And then also like California Highway Patrol, whenever I was talking to them, it's the cargo theft task force. There's technically 2 detectives, a sergeant, and that's it. That's handling all of the southern region of California. And how they got funded was somebody went to City Hall and petitioned, that they had this type of organization, and they added $3 onto the vehicle or commercial vehicle registration, and that money is what pays for them to be able to do this. And like I said, there's only two people that are handling all of Southern California from below LA to Mexico, and that's hot spot number one. So if you're seeing crime, we're seeing crime everywhere. It's not just in these pockets anymore. They're going directly after shippers that handle high value freight, or who produce for high value freight. And so as a average American, that is something that we can do to say, hey, let's bring awareness. These officers, I mean, we've all kind of been there where we made a phone call to the police for reporting something and they can't help us. So let's help them by getting, some money in place so that they can be educated or come up with the cargo theft task force. There is things we can do as Americans that I don't think it's talked about enough.
It's awesome. Danielle, you definitely told me everything today, pun intended. For your podcast, where do we go to check out what you're cooking up right now on the Tell Me Everything podcast?
Well, thanks so much for letting me bring that up. But yes, you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But yeah, just kind of getting my toes in the water as far as podcasting, but it's been really fun. So you can also see me on LinkedIn too.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Danielle, thank you so much for being on the show today. You absolutely crushed it. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Danielle Spinelli, again, was awesome, man. I mean, you guys just understand, and I try to, be real and always bring, relevant things. And cargo theft, it's here to stay, right? But we have to find ways to mitigate risk and be able to educate. And the man that leads education is going to be joining me on Monday. Guys, what is a Monday without Craig Fuller, our CEO and founder here at FreightWaves? On the road ahead is going to be joining us on Monday, as well as Kieran Sakar is going to be joining me on Monday. He is the Chief Product Officer at Samsara. He is going to be awesome. And then last, this guy had the best LinkedIn post. I'm going to bring that out on Monday. Danny Ramon, the Director of Intelligence and Response, is going to be joining me. He is awesome. And I love that photo of Danny too, man, looking real intense. Again, I appreciate both Danielles for being here, our sponsor as well, PCS. And lastly, John Kingston, my man. Thank you so much for your insight on RXO. And if you guys have any questions for me, if you need anything at all, make sure you at us on the show at FreightWaves What the Truck. So at FW What the Truck for all information, as well as personally at Malcolm Harris. So at _ MALCOLMHARRIS for nonstop updates when it comes to me. I will say, I forgot one thing. The Tennessee Volunteers do not play football this weekend, but if your football team is still great, I want you guys to cheer them on. I said I was going to do this. Kaylee, I really do not want to do this, but I'm going to, because, I just want to honor the space. Boomer Sooner. All right, I said it. That's it. I'll never say it again. It'll never come out of my mouth again. Yeah, that's it. Also, forgot to mention to you guys, our newsletter is actually dropping today. So again, sponsored by PCS. It's going to give a recap of all the things happening from all the shows that we've had. So definitely check that out. It's going to be coming, I'd say around 4 o'clock Eastern today. And for myself, I'm Malcolm Harris, and that's going to be it, man. I'll see you guys. Go Atlanta Falcons, and give you a pick. I don't know if I can do that, so I'll see you guys on Monday. See ya.